This is the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and it's Apple's latest and best iPhone out available right now in terms of performance. And then this is one of my favorite products of the year that Apple launched, the M4 iPad Pro. This is the 11-inch right here. You could tell by the camera. That is the updated product. And we're going to see how much faster is the M4 iPad over the A18 Pro chip iPhone 16 Pro Max by the end of this video. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Let's go ahead and begin with a boot up test in 3, 2, go, and see which one can get there first. Now, of course, we are comparing iOS to iPadOS, and this is not exactly a direct fair comparison because it's an iPad, it's a phone, but we do this for fun, just to see how much ahead the M4 chip is over, the A18 Pro and just daily use, because these are both mobile operating systems. At the end of the day, there's not a full PC based. And you see the iPad Pro boots up a little bit faster, but what's striking to me is just how much thinner the bezels are on the iPhone. However, with a tablet, you probably want some bezel because you would just be accidentally pressing probably a lot on the screen. But this one's going to go to the iPad Pro on the boot up. So when it comes to unlocking these products, you'll see we have Face ID on the iPhone, raise to wake. You're right in. So it's got that nice dynamic island up there. Well, I mean, nice is subjective. I'm just saying that it looks nicer than probably the notch from back in the day, but I still want an all screen. I really do. Now on the M4, you'll see that they did put the Face ID in landscape. It will still unlock even when you're in portrait. However, it's going to be more accurate when you are in landscape, but it should give you no major issues pretty much anywhere you look. So the unlocking is nice on here. There is no Touch ID. That's going to be reserved for the iPad Airs. But unlocking these two products is near identical, just about the same. Keep in mind though, if you have the M4 and you have the Magic Keyboard, you can actually unlock with the Face ID and then just kind of like click the space bar to get into the product without having to swipe with the finger. So there's a little bit of different ways on the iPad, but overall it's pretty much the same speed. Okay, and here is the monster scores for the iPad Pro M4. This is the 11-inch. You'll see 13,194 and a 3,702. So the single core performance is actually higher on the iPad Pro than some multi-core performance on certain iPhones. So this thing is an absolute monster, but you'll see the A18 Pro chip in the single core is also an absolute monster at 3,282. That's not too far off the single on the iPad. So generally, in day-to-day regular performance, these two will probably perform about the same. However, when you start pushing the iPad and things that you probably should use if you're buying a Pro iPad, like video rendering and gaming, you're going to see that the iPad's going to pull far ahead. And I've actually rendered out some videos already on my M4 for the channel. So I've already done some content in 4K 60 and this thing rips right here. Also, the iPhone would probably rip through it too as well with a 7751. So impressive scores on the M4, blowing away the iPhone in multi-core. But I don't think you would need a 13,000 in the multi-core on the iPhone. It would probably heat up quite a bit as well, but I still think maybe one day we'll see an M chip in an iPhone. Maybe I'm just dreaming. Let's go on to the Extreme over here. Think about that. They put the M series chip, or they get small enough where an M series chip is in just basically every single thing in the Apple lineup. That's super unified, super one chip, but I understand the M4 chip is designed for laptops and tablets now, but if they could put it in an iPad, why can't we see an M-like chip in the iPhone? Just a dream. I'll be back when the 3D Mark is finished here for the iPad and the iPhone. Okay, and here's our Wildlife Extreme scores, and you'll see that the iPhone 16 Pro Max hit a 4682. This one got 8,061 though, with 50 frames per second. Also, this one didn't drop frames quite as heavily as the iPhone, and it scores better than 98% of devices on the market today. So if you want to play some games on an iOS-like product, it's the iPad M4. This thing is an absolute screamer. Over here, it's also a screamer as well at 90%, but they did not make the iPhone 16 Pro Max faster than the iPad Pro M4. So this is like the fastest mobile product on the market today over here, and it continues to hold that crown. It's just mind blowing. We're on M4. Wait till the next iPad Pros come out. It's just going to get ridiculous in terms of what the capabilities. They're getting closer to that replace a laptop. We just got to get some more computer or laptop like features into the iPad. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but we are starting to get more with the calculator and all the split screen and all the stuff we can do here. I actually enjoy using iPad more for productivity stuff than the iPhone. All right, so let's look at some real world speed, just general UI elements. Basically, everything scrolls about the same. We do have a lot bigger space here. Of course, this is an iPad, but they still have the same app library, very in sync, very similar experience. We also have a similar control center that do basically the same actions, and all works well and fine. I think you're going to be very happy with the way these are smooth with their 120 hertz panels. And I do understand that they kind of limit it sometimes. It's an adaptive refresh, so that's kind of what you got to be used to on certain scrolling elements, but animations are buttery and everything is super fast on both. It literally feels like if I go to this, I'm using the same product, just larger. All right, guys, so here we are at the app launch test. We're going to take a look at just how they look when launching through multiple applications. We'll start with calendar, and you'll see nearly the same experience. I think we were on the year view over here. We'll go out of here. We'll go in the clock, and you'll see they also have the same animations, although iPadOS brings these things up here. The buttons are there on the bottom for the iPhone, which makes sense. You wouldn't want them up here. You'd also use the trackpad sometimes with the Magic Keyboard, so that makes sense over there. And you'll see we do have histories and calculators now on both, even on the iPad with iPadOS 18. And you'll see the weather also looks pretty similar. It's just the iPad shows more screen elements, but pretty in sync. We'll go into Apple News, and you'll see the iPad launches at first, even with more content to show over here. So that's cool. If we go over here, I'm going to go to following on this side. We'll click consumer electronics on both. And you'll see, even though this has to pop more content, it did it just as fast. So very nice. I do like reading more on iPad, obviously, because you can see more content. You don't have to scroll as much. It's a really nice experience. Let's go over here to App Store on both. And you'll see iPad wins again, even though iPad is showing more content. I know I'm just driving that point home because I get a lot of comments. It's not fair. The iPad shows more content. Well, this test is for entertainment purposes. Let's keep that very clear. And so let's go into Instagram here on both devices, and you'll see, I think that was the left. We'll go over here. Once in, pretty good. You can also blow this up here on the iPad, and it's in full resolution. They've had that for a while. And you'll see the scrolling is on point on both of them. No major issues. Let's go into X on both platforms. Again, you're going to see more content there on the right. And it did pop. It looked like the iPad had that. Hold on. We're getting a lot of pop-ups here. But scrolling through, generally similar performance. I feel like the iPad has a little bit better performance so far, though. Let's go into YouTube. And we'll hit scroll to continue. I don't know why they're doing this. Let me go ahead and run YouTube again because it wants to show pop-ups. Let's go into YouTube, 3, 2, go. And you'll see faster over here on the left. Let's go over here to the trending tab on both phones. Did I say phones? Both products. You can see not a massive difference beside the fact that you can see more of the title. Again, media consumption king is the iPad. But scrolling wise, I feel like you're taking a similar product, bringing it into your pocket here on the iPhone coming from the iPad over here. And I had to make a quick cut because the apps got mixed up on both. Let's go into Prime Video and you'll see about the same. But again, you're always going to pick the iPad for the actual size of the screen. It shows way more content. But even though it shows more content, it's seeming to give us about the same performance, which is nice. This would be a great combo of, having the mobile version of the similar product and then at home iPad, or even to take this on the go to do a little bit more productivity with the Magic Keyboard. This is a great combo. Let's go into Best Buy, although a very pricey one. These two products combined are somewhere close to the neck of woods of $3,000 if you get the Magic Keyboard, depending on their storage. This is a very pricey combo right here, but it's a combo that's going to last you years and years to come, especially if you don't really care about having a laptop as much. If you really want to use a laptop, then this combo, you're going to need the laptop as well. But Jetpack Joyride opened first on the left, and we'll have to flip this back over to portrait. And let's go into Subway Surfers on both, 3, 2, go. And you'll see Subway Surfers with the win on the right. But it's only a smaller game. Where the iPad is really going to shine is in that extended performance of gaming. So let's say you're playing a game for an hour, 2 hours, maybe 30 minutes at a time. This phone's going to warm up more than this product. This also, usually this you could have on the Magic Keyboard or on a stand. You probably won't be holding it in your hand directly, and you might have a controller connected to it. So the gaming experience is also larger. So while it did load faster there on the iPhone, when actually in the game, the iPad is going to win that out. Let's go into Dead Trigger 2. But I think if you want to take a very powerful gaming experience on the go, the 16 Pro Max is a very strong performer. I almost get no massive differences here when it comes to the actual performance of a lot of these iOS, iPadOS based games. But of course, like I say, when controller connected, this is going to be the optimal experience on the right. But even better if you go with like the 12.9 inch iPad. This is the 11 inch right here. But you can see now in the games, the iPhone is getting a boost here. But they both have game mode, so that shouldn't be an excuse for the iPad there. We'll go into PUBG Mobile. And you'll see game modes appear on both. And this is going to be one that requires a little more power. Here comes the iPad in the lead. And the iPad is probably going to get there first. Here comes the iPhone a little bit behind. We are showing an ad here. We'll skip this. And boom, we are now in. So the iPad faster to load the more serious game, PUBG Mobile. So definitely I'll give this one to the iPad. And look how much more space. I mean, when you're in the match, it's going to be a drastic more amount of space on the right versus on the left. So like I say, you pick and choose, because considering that the iPad, this iPad by itself, just the iPad itself, is actually cheaper than the iPhone. But of course, it doesn't have all the mobile connectivity. But you could see once in the match, the space is phenomenal on the iPad screen. So that's going to be a big victory. We'll go into Geekbench 6, and we're getting some reflections on the screen. I don't like that down there, so I zoomed out a bit. But you could see very good here on both. All right, so let's go into 3D Mark. And you can see not too much of a difference. Speed Test Net. And basically equal. And how about iMovie? Let's go here in 3, 2, go. And you'll see about the same. Although you can do Final Cut for iPad, as well as more precise video editing with Apple Pencil support. In addition, uploading and all that to YouTube and other content platforms will probably be a better experience on the iPad, especially because of the space to edit videos, photos, and upload. So I would pick the iPad for content creation, although for camera, you'll have to start out with the iPhone. So camera's not as good, but it's still pretty decent for an iPad. All right, guys, so here we are with the RAM management. Now, the iPad has been basically very good, but the iPhone here has been phenomenal as well. This is 8 gigs of RAM. This is also 8 gigs of RAM on the right, so you shouldn't see a drastic difference. However, I find that the iPad, because it has these split screen modes, it does seem to take more advantage of it. And you also have the Stage Manager. So I don't really feel like I get too many benefits besides the fact that this can run Apple Intelligence on the iPhone. It can hold apps fine. As you can see, we can go through them, come back in, and they're going to be held properly in the background. Some older iPhones could do this as well, although the 4 to 6 gig of RAM iPhones can sometimes crash an app or launch a reload. But these 8 gig of RAM iPhones since the 15 Pro are just fine. I just want them to give me a split screen to take better advantage of that extra memory on board. All right, so let's go back through the applications on the iPad, and you'll see that we have essentially perfect performance on here. Let that come back, and we'll let this come back. It's a second delay to get out of the applications that are in landscape if you are rocking out in portrait. However, most people aren't using the iPad in portrait unless maybe they're reading an article or playing a vertical based game. I do think you're going to be in landscape majority of the time on iPad. That's just how I've been using it. And I've seen other people use iPads in landscape a lot as well. So vertical, probably not the most way you're using this, or portrait. But you can see, really nice. Hold on. Really nice RAM management, just like the iPhone, and buttery animations as we go through. They also don't really reload anything, so everything stays in memory, which is very nice. Some of my older iPads back in the day would relaunch an app here and there. Certain apps will crash, but hasn't really been a major issue since M2 iPad. Even M1 was fine, so I didn't have a major issue there. But what's really nice about the iPad is the ability to split screen and have things like Stage Manager on board, which give us more usability and functionality, I would say, than an iPhone. Just having this different way of multitasking is really nice by comparison. So I get more happy and excited about iPad updates than I do about iPhone, just because, I get to take advantage more of the screen. So I'm really looking forward to iOS 19 bringing a split screen mode. All right, so here we are with the video editing, and you could see a much better experience for this on the iPad due to its size. But we're looking at speed here. So let's go ahead and render out this 4-minute and 14-second clip. So let's go ahead and click save video on both, and we'll just see how long this takes. I'll speed up the video and we'll come back when one or the other does finish here on this 4-minute and 14-second clip for the iMovie, iPad versus iPhone here. So 16 Pro Max looks like it's in the lead right now. I'll be back. And so the iPhone has beat the iPad on the iMovie render. Now I feel like I'm swallowing my own words now, because earlier I was saying the rendering would come out ahead on the iPad. Now that probably would only matter on longer videos or on 4K clips that were super long. The iPad probably would pull ahead, but it seems like iMovie might be better optimized for the iPhone here. This iMovie application, maybe Final Cut would pull ahead. Who knows? But both respectable performance. The iPhone 16 Pro Max with a shocking win there in iMovie. So we're going to wrap it up here. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is, I would say, just about as powerful as an M4 iPad for your general daily use. Even doing some more premium things like playing heavier games. I shouldn't say premium, I should say heavier performance things, playing games and rendering. Although the iPad does pull ahead though. So if you play games extended periods, it's going to have better heat dispersion across its bigger body. The phone's going to contain that heat in a smaller area. The iPad also will be better for media consumption. But overall, it's kind of like you're buying a similar product. If you buy this iPad, you're buying a super fast Apple product this year, or you're buying this phone, you're buying like their fastest phone. So they're almost kind of similar. Just one is a bigger media consumption, more productivity beast. This one is a on-the-go portable productivity beast. So either way you go, you're getting a super fast product. I would say though, technically the iPad is more performance here, as you've seen. But in real world, it's not like drastic. So it's a great combo. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here, and I will catch you all in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching, and peace.